All right, so I think I'm about to buy 19 iPhones for like $300 on eBay. It is a wholesale lot that I found. It ends in 15 minutes. Currently, the bidding is at around $300. There's a lot I don't know about the phones, but what I do know is they reset all the phones, they all power up, and the iClouds have been removed from all of them. The only thing I don't know is what exactly is wrong with them, but based on the cost per unit, I think I'm gonna place a bid. I'm gonna see what we can do here. Worst case, it'll be an interesting video. We are currently the high bidder at $338, and there's only 6 minutes left to the auction, so I'm hoping no one comes and tries to outbid us last second. I did set our max bid to $450, so if anyone does try to outbid us, I can't imagine they're gonna go that high, so I think we got this in the bag, as long as no one comes and tries to offer more than $450. All right, so there was literally 1 second left. I thought I won it at 338. My max bid was 450, and someone came in and bid $455 at the very last second. I did not plan on bidding on that auction until about 30 minutes ago, but I have newly discovered that losing auctions sucks, and it's a very defeating feeling. So I'm going to find another auction, and I'm gonna win that auction. All right, so we've officially got some phones on the way. Found this listing for 20 mixed iPhones. It's a bunch of 6s, 6S Pluses, 7s, and I think some 7 Pluses as well. Listed for $600, and I made an offer and was actually able to get it for $500 US. Not quite the same as winning an auction, but I made an offer, they accepted it. Still feels like a win. If I'm being honest, it's definitely a little bit of a gamble, and I don't know that I would buy this if I wasn't making a video, but I've always been curious about if you could make good profit buying lots like this, so I guess we'll see how this goes. All right, so our package has arrived. It's time to go ahead and get this thing open and see if there's any profit to be made here. Inside of our box, there's another box. The listing did show like the top 4 phones and the condition of them, but it didn't disclose cracked screens or anything else, so I actually have no idea what these phones are gonna look like, other than like the top 3 phones that were shown in the listing. But there's a very real chance that we are about to unbox a whole bunch of very broken phones. At first glance, I am seeing more cracked phones than I think was described. So right off the rip, we got 3 plus sized phones, like a 7 Plus and 2 6S Pluses. This one has a sticker that says 85%. I assume that's referring to the battery health. So that's honestly pretty solid and a decent start. That being said, the screen on this one is broken and fairly smashed. So that's 1 cracked screen so far. No cracks on this one. And then we have our 7 Plus. Actually seems to be in very good condition. Sticker says 74% battery, so might need a new battery. And now for the rest of them. So I think these are all iPhone 7s. That's not a good sound. I don't know if you guys could hear that. That's cracked glass. All right, 6S, also 86% battery, no cracks on it, pretty good condition. Solid so far. Another 6S. I'm getting bored editing this right now, so I'm assuming this isn't too fun to watch, so I'm just gonna speed through the rest of this unboxing. So far, this is going a lot better than I thought, and these phones are in much better condition than I expected, but there are still a few things that could greatly impact how profitable these phones are, and if we actually make any money at all. Number 1, we don't know the lock status of these phones. We don't know if they're unlocked, what carriers they're locked to. They might be SIM locked. We have no idea. The listing didn't disclose that. Number 2, I have no idea if any of these phones are blacklisted or reported lost or stolen. I don't think they are, because they came from what seems to be a pretty legitimate company with some pretty good reviews, but they didn't guarantee IMEI status, so there is still a chance that some of these devices could have unpaid balances, they could be lost, stolen. And then finally, despite the fact that they seem to be in good condition and they seem to be labeled, I haven't tested any of them, so I have no idea if there's any additional functionality issues. Could be charging ports, could be cameras. There's a bunch of things that could not be working on these. So first glance, I'm hopeful these are in very good condition, but there are quite a few things that could impact the profitability. So one by one, I went through all the phones, testing them by hand to see Number one, if there was any functionality issues with any of the phones or any major components not working, as well as for every single phone, I did a search for the device's IMEI number to check if it has been reported lost or stolen, or to check if it is locked with any carriers. I also got out some sticky notes just to mark anything that needed to be replaced on them. That way, when it was time to place an order for parts, I knew exactly what we needed. So I just finished going through all the phones and testing them. And to be honest, we did better than I expected. So I'm gonna start with the good, and then we could go over the bad afterwards. To start, the majority of these phones are not iCloud locked, they are unlocked to all carriers, and they're not blacklisted. I did not find any unexpected issues in terms of functionality like cameras or Touch ID or anything else internally that can go wrong with the phone. So no issues other than the obvious, like the broken screens or stuff like that. Now for the bad. So to start, this 6S Plus was locked to AT&T, as well as this 6S Plus is also locked to AT&T. And we also have this iPhone 7 that is unfortunately MDM locked, which is the lock that companies will put on phones. So I assume this was previously a company phone with a lock on it, but it does still have some value in terms of parts. And then finally, the other 6S Plus we got, unfortunately, this one has been reported lost or stolen on the IMEI number. So this is also, despite being in very good condition, this one's just gonna be good for parts. Obviously, a lot of these do also have cracks on the screen, but to be honest, it's actually a lot less of them than I expected that are gonna need screen replacements, or a couple of them are gonna need battery replacements. So I guess that is kind of bad, but it's less of them than I expected, and I kind of budgeted that into the cost of the phones. And I did go ahead and place an order for parts that's coming in tomorrow. And believe it or not, for all of the phones that need screens, as well as a home button and our battery replacements, our total cost in parts was only $149. We'll check back with you guys once those parts come in. All the parts came in this morning. I'm gonna go ahead and get started on fixing some of these phones. I know the parts were really inexpensive, but I do think the amount of time it takes to fix these is gonna matter. So I'm gonna go ahead and set a timer for how long it takes to fix these phones, because I do think that's pretty important in calculating whether or not this was really worth it. If I had to guess, I think it's gonna take me about 3 hours to finish all of these phones. So it is the next day, and I have now fixed all of the phones. I stopped working on them yesterday with 1 hour and 48 minutes gone by since I started working on them, and 2 phones left. And I finished the other 2 phones today without remembering to restart the timer. So to be conservative, I think we could say it was under 3 hours to get all of the phones fixed. I've actually already gone ahead and went through all the phones and made these little labels for every individual phone that I could put in the listings for any issues they have, the battery health, and just like all this stuff that people are asking. So I got that done for all of these, and the next step is gonna be to go ahead and get some photos of all these phones and get them listed up on eBay. I just finished up getting all of our phones listed up on eBay. For those of you guys who watch these videos often, I actually did something a little bit different this time than I usually do. Usually I always go buy it now because in my experience, it's been the best option. But after losing out on that auction at the start of the video, I decided that I wanted to give auctions a try. Definitely taking a bit of a risk there. There's a real world where we could potentially lose money on these by trying the auction method. But after the start of the video, seeing what happened and how the bidding went up on that specific lot that we didn't end up getting, I think there might be a real opportunity to get some pretty good prices for these phones using auctions. So auctions are set up, they close 3 days from now. I'll see you guys on auction day. All right, it is officially auction day. Auction closes in about an hour, and we officially have bids on every single phone that we had listed. And at the moment, our total bids adds up to $826, which means that we have essentially broken even. So any bids we get above this is entirely our profit, and that's all our money. I've been told that most of the bidding happens in the last 10 minutes of the auction. Not sure where these are gonna end off, but we're getting close to the point where I think the bids are gonna start to come in, and I'm excited to see what people start offering for these. Auction 1 closed, no last second bids. Came in at $73 for the first one. Still very solid. That's a 32 gigabyte model, not even the 128 GB. So solid start. Next auction closes in 2 minutes. Auction number 2, currently at $36.90 for a 6S 32 GB, 100% battery health. Someone just bid it up to $36. 40 seconds left. Not sure if anyone's gonna come in. Hopefully someone brings this up a little bit, because I think we would have gotten at least 60 if we went by it now. After this sale, we did fairly consistently have our auctions go up anywhere from $20 to $30 at the very last second. And we definitely had quite a few phones sell for some great prices, but we definitely had quite a few phones that sold for a lot less than what they probably would have sold for if we listed them as a buy it now listing. And we ended off with a total of $299.98 worth of profit for the entire lot.